Alright, hello friends and fellow Ironlanders. Let's get back to Jendells' story. Now, the events that have brought us to where we currently are, without going all the way back, Rodri, a former member of this resistance that we are, I think, technically officially part of now, we found out his true identity. He was working with the enemy, and he attempted to sacrifice himself to take us out, or as many of us out as he thought he could, because of whatever cause that the Prime Chosen, sorry, I almost forgot that, is trying to complete. So because of that, we had to take a journey out of our current abandoned mine kind of camp area that the resistance was held up in. And so we made a few rolls last session. I got really lucky and we had no misses at all. So our journey went pretty easy, even though everybody was hurt from this blast that Rodri had created from inside himself using some form of magic. We ended up making it to a location where we thought we were going, and the dice had some other plans. The what was the name of it? Yeah, Stone Wake Point had actually been crumbled down into the sea. So we were forced to, because of the setting sun, and before night came, in which undead horrors rise and walk the lands at night, every night. It's just part of this landscape and this setting. We had to hurry up and head over to, let me minimize that, the Whispering Bogs, which was just to the west of it. We had just enough time to make it there, and luckily Caldus, with the roll of the dice, we found out that he is originally from this kind of settlement, this area. So he knows the people, and so he talked them into letting us stay. And that's basically where I ended it. We got there just at dusk. The torches were being lit around the town to ward off the undead creatures of the night. We were allowed to stay in a couple empty cabins that they have. Not we, but Caldus told them that we would make some repairs and basically we would leave the place better than we found it. So they agreed to let us stay. And I was thinking about it a little bit afterwards. I'm thinking that because they know, because Caldus relayed all the information, because he's going to be very forthcoming with them, being from here, they don't want the Prime Chosen, messing with them, basically. So the fact that we are here, they don't know we're here yet. And hopefully we got rid of the only weasel in the group. But who knows, there might be another one. I doubt it, I don't think so, but if the dice, maybe some circumstances come up, we'll get to that. And regardless, they don't want us really around long, because they don't want any trouble with the Prime Chosen. They just want to live on their own peacefully and just forget everything about the large city settlement elsewhere on the island. So we can stay here tonight, but we are going to still have to find a better place to set up our official headquarters, I guess, resistance lair place. So let's go from there. Everybody got into the cabins. They started unpacking their things, getting ready to settle in for the night. And one thing that I said had happened, but I kind of didn't really play into the story in the travel, is that Jendell took a lot of damage from that. I think she was pretty close when Rodri exploded, and she didn't think anything about it. She saw the light starting to glow, but I mean, magic exists, but magic's not everywhere. It's not like, oh no, he's casting an explosion spell. So caught her off guard. She took a lot of damage. So that's going to mean that I need to figure out, well, we've done a sojourn move once in the past. I'm not sure if I did it correctly or not, but we're gonna make another one because we're kind of settling in for the night. You know, we're gonna kind of rest and recuperate. And what it says for Sojourn is, I guess I can close that out now. That's us over here in the Whispering Bogs, settling in for the evening. We'll bring up the moves list just so I make sure I get it correct. Sojourn, I believe, is under relationship. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's under relationship, but anyway. When you spend time in a community seeking assistance, we're kind of just chilling for the night, but I feel like that's still... I mean, maybe even if I'm going against the rules a little bit, I'm going to use this for basically coming from D&D or Pathfinder, a long rest. If you share a bond, which we share a bond with Catania, add +1. No, I'm not gonna game the system and just give myself every little bonus I can. So yeah, I guess we're gonna roll plus heart, which is actually pretty good because heart is our best stat. I'm gonna roll with... Oh yeah, we were using a black die and a white die. Alright, let's just get that underway. So everybody's settling in for the night. I think Catania and Jendell are finally getting a little bit of time to communicate things that they're not necessarily settling down, but we effectively at the time being are settling down to just kind of chill for the night. I'm thinking they probably have a couple bottles of some type of mead or rum or something that they kind of break out and share. And also Catania's her significant other, who at this point does not have a name, and let's actually... Why doesn't that just... There we go. I showed this list in the last session, but basically this is the threads and characters list from the Mythic GME system, and I had it made in Roll20, and I just kind of copy pasted it over here, and it's going to work really well. So when I roll doubles on the challenge die, yes, in the core rules of Ironsworn, that's going to make the answer that you get, whether it was a hit or a miss, a more extreme version of itself. I'm probably still going to do that and implement that, but also I'm going to implement the doubles rule from Mythic, which is a random event, which honestly is one of my favorite things to do from Mythic, and it adds a lot of fun flavor and elements of the story that I don't have to control myself. So with that being said, let's find a name for Catania's partner. And quite conveniently enough, there is a oracle table in the Ironlands rule itself with just that, bunch of appropriate names. So I'm gonna roll. It's a D200 table, which again, it kind of blows. You can't get a 1 with 2 sets of dice, but anyway, that doesn't matter. We're gonna roll and see what name we come up with. If it's not too... whatever, I'll just forget it. Let's see what we got. I have to add this up. So a 6... I tell you what, well, no, because then that will narrow our chances. Sorry, I'm in my own head with this. 66 and 33. That's cool. That's 2 doubles, technically. Wow, that's kind of funny. Which makes a 99. So we'll go down here to 99. Sabine. Yeah, Sabine? Sabine? So we have Sabine. Let's add that. I'll replace partner with Sabine. Sabine. Ian? That wouldn't be Sabine. Okay. Awesome. Now let's move on. Move on to our sojourn roll for the night. So Catania and Sabine and Jendell all sit around and they talk and reminisce about old times, and Catania and Sabine talk about their times, and Jendells kind of reminisces and tells them about her time in not the circus, but the kind of like traveling caravan she was in with her 2 pets, and she introduces. I mean, they already have seen and know of Nacrid and Katsuro, but she's able to kind of tell. Like, I think at the time Jindel knew Catania in the past. She probably had Katsuro, but she did not have Nacrid. Anyway, a bunch of useless details. Anyway, they spend the night reminiscing and drinking and not getting drunk, but just relaxing for once in this story so far. And we are going to make our first sojourn roll. Not first, actually, second sojourn roll. Ooh, not good. But that's a 3, so that makes a 3 and a 2, a 5 on the action die versus a 9 and a 2, which I should have rolled the white dice, but I forgot. Doesn't matter, already made the roll. Is going to be a weak hit. So on a weak hit, you choose one of the options. If you share a bond, choose one more, which we do not. Because I'm not going to give myself that, but... So we'll bring this up. Relationship, sojourn. So we can either clear a condition, recover, or provide aid. I think we kind of really need to recover, because we're very hurt. And that, I'm sure, comes up in their conversation too. It's like, Jindel, you really need to take care of those burns. You don't want them to get infected out here, especially in this bog. Who knows what kind of bacteria lurks. I'm sure they're aware of bacteria. Why not? Just because it's an older world seeming setting, it is an entirely different world. So maybe they have a good concept of bacteria and anesthetics and all that. But so yeah, I believe recover is going to make the most sense. And then under recover, we just take one of the options under recover. I guess so. That would make sense. Recuperate. Take +2 health for yourself and any companion. So that's cool. That's really cool. So not only are we going to be able to gain 2 health, the 1 health that I took from Nacrid is going to be restored as well. And I remembered that I need to choose, with Katsuro, you get to choose one of these 3 options when you take the asset originally, and the one that I took, I think I rolled them randomly, was when you enter the fray or strike by sending your cat to attack, roll plus edge on a hit, take +2 momentum. So basically he's going to be kind of useful in combat, whereas Nacrid is more going to be useful for just like scouting places out. And even though I rolled them randomly, that kind of makes a bit of sense to me. So we will check mark that. Cool, so that pops up there. I like that. Alright, close that, and we will give Nacrid his 1 health back. We get to gain 2 health, bringing us to 4, and that is basically it. Because yeah, we weren't low on spirit supply, nah, and 2 momentum, nah. We actually still have +5, which isn't very bad given all that. And I realized that when we did our undertake a journey last session, at the end of the journey I should have made a roll to basically like reach your destination. Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. And that would have told us a little bit more information about whether we made it or what we were walking into, kind of thing, but I didn't know it at the time. So I will try to remember that for our next roll. And also, you're not supposed to get experience from the undertake a journey action. I did give myself 1 experience though, just so we can get that ball rolling. I feel like that makes sense. If you're journeying, you're gonna gain some type of experience from that. Regardless, whatever. So yes, they end up going to sleep that evening. Jindel kind of like, she does bandage her wounds a little bit. She checks out Nacrid, and he has basically he's kind of bruised a little bit. There's not much she can like do medically for him, but she feeds him really well, and she gives him a little bit of love, and she loves on Katsuro, and they all kind of curl up, and lay low for the evening and get some rest. Now, while they're kind of socializing and getting a rest, I'm seeing the what's his name? How can I forget his name? Caldus, of course, it's right there. Caldus is kind of talking to the people of this settlement here, and this is kind of where he's getting the information. Like, I understand you don't want us here very long. We will search for a new place in the morning. He's kind of taking care of some of the official business on that side. And he asks them if they know of any place that, at least kind of near here, that we might be able to set up a base, a place out of the way, but a place with some type of like already made foundation laid, so we can take less time to set up, sort of thing. And just looking at this map again, ChatGPT just made this on the fly for me, and I kind of like it. It just gives me something to work off of. We're here. Stone Wake Point was demolished. We want something that's, I don't know, the way I'm seeing it and the way I'm taking this is, since over here at Reckholt is where they were keeping the prisoners, that's gotta be close to where the Prime Chosen has their headquarters, which to us right now is unknown. And so if they take the people out of Greyhaven and they're taking them up here just to be held, I think the North Cliffs, or maybe they just ship them out and maybe there's a smaller island close by where they keep their headquarters. So that would kind of just leave us. I mean, maybe we would have to go to the set, maybe Ravenshorn or something, or that Ashfold, or Eastwatch Hold. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. And that would, I don't feel like we would need to undertake a journey for that, but at the same time, I kind of want to. So it's kind of fun. All right. So Caldus is taking care of all that in the evening, but we need to. Yeah, we really need to make some progress on finding these people, because I don't want the Prime Chosen to be Jendells' main goal. I mean, yes, right now her main goal is to find Nisus, but I want to take her out of Shroudhorn and kind of like beyond the scope of just this island and everything. I want her to travel the large continent that I have. I would really like to do a lot more exploration in that aspect. So we really need to figure out what's going on here pretty quickly. Alright, and actually thinking about it a little bit, I said that Caldus agreed we would kind of like fix the places up while we were staying here. If we were only staying the night, that wouldn't have even came up in the conversation. So I'm gonna make a roll. Why not? That's why I come to the table. I love rolling the dice, and the dice tell the story. Let's make a roll to, let's see, I think it's in a relationship to compel. Now, this isn't going to be Jendell. I'm going to use Jendell's stats for this, but this is going to be Caldus kind of like in the evening, like I just said, him conversing with the elders of this settlement, the whoever's in kind of political leadership. Okay, leaders of there we go. That's the word I was looking for. He's gonna like try to compel them to get us to stay here and maybe use this as a headquarters, because again, they're kind of disconnected from the city, so the Prime Chosen's eyes aren't really like on this place, so it would essentially be a perfect place, and then that way we would not have to travel anywhere. We can settle in, we can fix up the abandoned buildings here. We have a bit of operations to get set up, and if need be, the bog kind of provides a natural defense against the Prime Chosen anyway. So let's do that. Where'd that go? There it is. Relationship compel. And that means we're going to roll. How are we approaching this? Threaten or entice, no lie. Charm is going to be plus heart. What do you know? Haha. I'm glad that kind of came up as her best stat, because it's coming in pretty handy thus far. Roll plus heart, add +1 if you share a bond, which technically I am going to give this one because we said that Caldus is from here, so he definitely shares a bond with this place, and since we were rolling for Caldus, alright, I like it. So we're getting a +4 to this roll. Let's go! Ah, nice! That's going to be a strong hit, because we got a 5 on the action die, plus our 4 making a 9, beating both the 6 and the 4. So on a strong hit, they'll do what you want or share what they know. Take +1 momentum, putting us to 6. If you use this, exchange to gather information, which we did not. Awesome, that works too. And how I kind of think momentum is used is just like the momentum of the story and like what Jendells is trying to do. And the fact, even though I rolled with Caldus separately and Jendells not even in this scene effectively, this is still forwarding the momentum of Jendells' kind of endeavor. So I think that is still very appropriate. Alright, cool beans. And we need to start finding... Okay, cool. And now that I know we're staying here, we're going to be fixing these places up. This is going to be more than just a one-night kind of thing. Jendells needs to make progress in finding Nisus, and I was just saying I need to also myself just make progress on getting this quest, you could call it, done and out of the way so that we can move on. So yeah, let's kind of... I'm going to try to not be so bad at baby-stepping the momentum of my stories. I think that it would be appropriate for Jendells to kind of try to form a bond with not only the members of this resistance here, which she spent a little bit of time with already. Not much, but enough. I'm not going to give her a bond right away, but what I'm getting at is, so the resistance is now kind of settling in here. We need a little name for this settlement. I believe there's a table for settlement name. Yes. Landscape feature. What? No, I just want settlement names. Landscape oh, that's like affects the name of the place. Great Cliff. That's very not too many names. Timber wall, stone tower. Man-made edifice, creature, historical, old world language, environmental aspect. Greyhaven, Dunemorn. These are all, it's not very Whispering Bogs. Sorry, you're just listening to me read things off the screen, but I was hoping to find and just have a larger name of random settlement names. Oh, okay, I kind of see. So we roll a D100 first, and that'll tell us which other table to roll on. Okay, we'll do that. 33, another match. But it was not in the form of a roll, it was just a table roll, so I'm not going to count those. 33 is a creature, so we'll roll on the creature table for the town name, which again, there's only like 10 options, but whatever, they're there. We'll use them. Alright, another D100 roll. Blam! 52 is going to be boarwood. Okay, yeah, I like that. That kind of fits. Boarwood. The town of Boarwood. Let's add that to our characters list, so for one, we don't forget. Well, I will forget, but I'll have something to reference. Boarwood. B-O-A-R-W-O-O-D. Boarwood. Awesome. And also under threads, we have just defined Nisus, but we also... I tell you what, we will add Jendells' origin as a possible threat. Just that way, if when random events get rolled, that could be something that comes up, and we get information about that, and that would actually give us a chance to mark some progress towards that. Because in my mind, I'm kind of having trouble seeing how we're even gonna find chances to mark progress on that vow. But anyway, threads. So also we're going to add, we're finding Nisus, but we're also attempting to root out the Prime Chosen here. I mean, yeah, okay. Thinking about that more, what is the Resistance's goal? I mean, get their family members back, I suppose. But are they trying to dismantle the Prime Chosen? Because feels like to me the Prime Chosen is something larger than just this island. Let's ask that real quick. That's going to be a pretty significant role for our story wise. And alright, so these two dice are going to dictate a pretty large event in this lore of this setting. I'm going to make this 50-50 so it's straight up yes or no. Is the Prime Chosen only on this island? We'll word it that way. If yes, then obviously they're only going to be on this island, as the question suggests. If not, then they are going to kind of have their hands spread into other parts of the continent. So, is the Prime Chosen only on this island? 71 on a 50-50 is a yes. Okay, so they're not going to be a really large threat. That maybe they're just starting out, sort of thing. Okay, cool. So then I kind of like that, because then that way they're not going to be the main antagonistic organization of this setting, and that leaves that kind of as a big question mark to figure out later. So I like that. Cool. Close that. Now, alright, so we will just say stop Prime Chosen. Cool beans. And save that entry. Borewood is our town. Alright. And so right now we are going to try, Jendell is going to try, forgive me, still figuring out Foundry a little bit. So Jendell, right now, our goal is to kind of form a bond with this place, so that way maybe someone here will have information. That's kind of what I was getting at 10 minutes ago of explaining needless details, is maybe once we form a bond with this place, we will figure out some information. Okay, I like that. Yeah, let's do that. So Jindal wakes up the next morning, not really hungover because they didn't drink much, but maybe with like a slight headache, and also her injuries are still healing, even though we added health. She still has the wounds, but she knows that she is hungry, of course. We lost a few rations on the way here, and Jindal wakes up, and they all kind of like convene. Caldus is up already too. He probably didn't get much sleep, but he's aware of the situation. You can sleep when you're dead. I see that kind of as his mentality. But he's letting the people know. He's like, okay, there has been a slight change of plan, and a kind of a worried look comes across people's face. I said we were going to just stay the night, but I was able to talk to the leaders here, and they've agreed to help us in our cause, because what affects us and what happens in the city of Greyhaven also affects us here and the others in this community. So they have agreed to let us stay a bit longer. Again, we will actually I'm gonna throw in the I agreed that we would fix up these huts that we are currently occupying in as a bit of payment for allowing us to stay. So that will be one of our first things that we kind of get doing, whatever. So yes, please be very respectful to the members of of the town here for being so generous as to let us stay. And with that being said, I am going to begin making plans and preparations for the repairs of this place, and I'll talk to the shopkeepers and maybe acquire some tools and what such. And as that's kind of going on, everybody listens and they agree. They're very thankful, and they all kind of go about their way. Jendell and Catania and Sabine all kind of go out together. Jendell kind of asks Katsuro and Nakrid to stay be, and this is a good time to implement. I think because I said that Nakrid more or less has a nest inside Jendell's backpack, and it's a good way for her to carry him around. I'm thinking she can like set the backpack down like on its side so that the opening is kind of like laying horizontally, and Nakrid can use that part because I'm sure it's like I see it being filled with like webbing, like a real cozy nest for a spider kind of thing. So she can lay it down horizontally, and he can kind of like build a little bit of webbing outwards to make essentially like a little trap for him to catch his own kind of prey and feed himself, which honestly in my mind is really icky. I don't like it, but I do like it in theory. It's kind of a cool idea. Anyway, so she kind of like takes him outside and sets him in the back corner of the shack that they were given, in a little dry patch, because they're not just like in like knee-deep water everywhere. There's dry patches of land. There are maybe a few like shallow pools of water. Also, it is a bog. So anyway, she needless information. She sets the backpack down, and Nakrid's able to build a nest, and Katsuro I think is probably just gonna laze around inside while they go and walk about the town and kind of interact with the community a bit. And in doing that, again, without just getting bogged down in just random niche details, the grocer, I guess you could say, maybe like the meat stalls, the people that sell the food, make the food, or better yet, how about they go into a tavern type place, like the local, it's not like a bar, as cliche as that is, but it's kind of like the, just like a meeting hub, like a restaurant, basically, of the town. And they want to order breakfast. I'm sure they have a little bit of currency on them. They're not like poor. Just because they're resistance members doesn't mean they're all poor by any means. And in doing so, they're like, yeah, we have a bit, but the food source around here is really dwindled as of late, and we are not sure why. I'm not sure why my voice keeps changing either. So basically what they're getting out of this is going to be an opportunity for Jendell to once again flex her hunting skills. And she's kind of, they eat their meal. It's very lacking, I guess you could say. And they are able, Jendell gets the idea, and she just talks to the waitress or the owner, whoever behind the bar kind of thing. Just like, if I were able to provide some food, would that be acceptable? And they're like, yes, of course, any means of obtaining some food for the village is always welcome, of course. So they eat their bit of a meal, and Jendell's talking to Catania and Sabine. She says, well, I think I'm gonna go get Katsuro and Nakrid, and we're gonna go hunting. So that'll be my way of kind of providing for, at least for now, for this community, and maybe build up a bit of a relationship. What do you know? That's what we're trying to do. So Sabine and Catania kind of like agree, and they go off on their own way to again communicate with the town, kind of intermingle with the locals here. And Jendell is going to go back, get her companions, and go on another hunt, which is going to be a resupply for us. And I tell you what, if we get a miss, you find nothing helpful, pay the price. If we get a miss, maybe we will face danger and have a combat kind of thing. That sounds cool. So yeah, so Jendell goes back, she collects her little companions, and they kind of head out into the bog. Jendell is probably not really that familiar with the bog, so she's not going to immediately know a perfect spot for hunting. But this is Boarwood is the name of the town, and surely that has something to do with the fact that boar are around here. Maybe the boar have become scarce, and that's why the restaurant tavern place is having a bit of a food shortage. I like that. Okay, so yeah, there's something's going on in the woods. Something's keeping the boar, or something else is hunting the boar, maybe a larger beast of some kind. I hope not, but at the same time, we do need a combat of some kind. Jendell is not at her full capacity, but regardless. Okay, so basically we're going to make a resupply. The long and short of it, we're going to make a resupply roll. And resupply roll means we roll plus wits, which is a 2. And alright, so Jendell walks out into the bog. Katsuro is kind of like walking through the muck and getting his paws and his belly all wet, while Nakrad's just kind of like chilling in Jendell's backpack. And Jendell has her bow drawn, and I don't think she has an arrow knocked. I think she has a hip quiver, not a back quiver, because obviously that's where Nakrad hangs out. So I would say she kind of has a bit of a hip quiver. And they're kind of just walking along looking for some type of game to hunt, giving us our chance to roll a resupply roll. Okay, a 2 and a 2 makes a total of 4, which is going to be a weak hit. And on a weak hit, you take up to 2 supply, but suffer 1 momentum for each. We are 2 supply low, and losing 2 momentum would take us down to 4. I think we'll trade 1 for 1, and I think that'll actually kind of play in, so down to 5 momentum and up to 4 supply. That kind of plays in to the story, I think, because it is scarce out here, and Jendell is able to find maybe like a couple smaller creatures. Maybe not like one big game to bag, but just a few smaller creatures, and she's able to hunt them. Maybe a couple birds, maybe a couple large frogs or something of that nature here in the bog. And she takes them back to the restaurant, and she kind of like, she brings them in. She's like, I'm sorry there's not more, but the animals are very scarce out there. I've never hunted in a bog. And they're like, well, we're not surprised at all. That's kind of the way our hunters have been describing it as well. I think there's something more going on there. And Jendell takes that into account. If we had missed, I was gonna say maybe a wild boar or something attacked us, but since that was not the case, we will maybe address that at a later time. Okay, now let's fast forward time a little bit. Let's say the next day comes, and Jendell does the same thing, and to her she's kind of like, this is a new environment for me. I would like to, because she does enjoy hunting, and it's reminding her of Nisus as well, and that's kind of like her main goal, and she's not losing sight of that. So we'll fast forward to the next day or the next couple days, and she's kind of doing the same thing. So we'll roll again on the resupply and see what we get. So again, another couple days, she gets a few more birds, maybe. Since maybe she does a little bit of bow fishing, if anybody's ever done that or heard of that. Just especially with the shallow bogs, I think she'd be able to see some fish, even though some of the water's kind of murky. She'd be able to just pop some out of the water with her bow. And we'll make another resupply roll. Ooh, no. That's gonna be our first miss. A miss with a match. Damn. Okay, I mean, that sucks, but that is going to be our first random event. Alright. Shit, but cool. Because, yeah, a 2 and a 2 is... I could burn momentum... No, I couldn't. Because if I burnt momentum at 5, that would just replace my action die with a 5, essentially. And that would still be a miss. So either way, we are missing. So we pay the price. And I mentioned earlier that pay the price meant we're basically going to be fighting a beast. And I think that this means perhaps this is going to be the reason. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, but this, whatever this is going to be the reason the food population or the animal population, why hunters are having trouble gathering food. Whatever this is going to be why. So, okay, let me get the random event out of the way. So when it comes to Mythic, random event, I will roll on the event focus, which is going to kind of tell us what the random event is. Give me 1 second. Alright, so, okay, we can get rid of that. We had matches, that's, okay. So I roll a D100, and that's going to tell us 54 is moved towards a thread, meaning we roll on our threads list, and we're going to move towards one of these. Ooh, that's fun. Any of these could be fun. I really like that. So move towards a thread. Cool. Okay, and I might leave this as a cliffhanger because we were hitting that kind of like 41-minute mark. I was thinking I might push these to about an hour because 30 minutes, like I'm having fun. I'm getting the ball rolling, and then I kind of do stop. I like the 30-minute segment, and an hour. I don't know. We'll just kind of. I'll try to never really go over an hour. But this is kind of feeling like an okay time to stop as well. And I'm going to have the next 3 days off, counting today, because of Memorial Day and the way my schedule works. So I'm hoping to play a few more times in the next couple days. So I'll keep the momentum going. But sorry. Regardless, let's get to which thread is going to what we're taking one step closer to. So I'm going to roll a d6, and that will tell us which thread we are taking a step closer to. 5 is the Prime Chosen. Okay, honestly, that was my least favorite one, but that is kind of getting this knocked out of the way. So the Prime Chosen have something to do with this bog and why, okay, we didn't think that they came into this bog, and maybe they're not coming into this bog. Is for some reason my brain's telling me that this has something to do with like a beast, maybe like some type of okay, well, let's think about this. The Prime Chosen, they are dedicated to the god of light, Faerun. Their goal, or their kind of like outlook, is the world needs cleansing. They've been abducting people. What does that have to do with the food source dwindling? Oh gosh. Okay. I had paused it to have a quick think, and I think I came to kind of a decent conclusion. Okay, so we really only have to connect the lack of food here in the bog and the Prime Chosen, and I think a decent connection between the two could be that while Jendells out here hunting, she's been in the woods a few days, and maybe she's started to see some signs of because she's following trails that she knows should lead to something, but every time she gets like where she feels like this should be a good hunting area kind of thing, or she finds like the burrow of a certain animal, but they're always empty, and she finds that I'm not even gonna roll on this. I kind of like the idea, and I don't know what else I would do if for some reason it came up. Oh nope, that's not it. Because I'm really bad at doing that and backing myself into a corner with some of the yes nos. So I'm not gonna put this to a dice roll because I kind of like it. She realizes, or she sees, basically that there's another hunter out here in the bogs, and he's been okay, I like that. And I think she kind of like finds this little camp, this little hunter's camp, that this whoever this is, I'm seeing it as one person, maybe just a couple people. It crossed my mind like, oh, maybe it's Nisus, maybe he's been mind wiped by the Prime Chosen, and they're just using him for his hunting skills to like feed them, or I don't know. That sounded cool, but it didn't really match with what was rolled. If it had came up the find Nisus for the thread, then maybe, but it didn't, so I'm wasting time talking about it. But basically, this is a hunter employed, more or less, or working with the Prime Chosen that's out here hunting food and essentially taking it away from this small little settlement here. But the settlement people didn't really notice it because they don't venture this far out away from their settlement. But Jendell does, because she's comfortable in the woods and traversing nature and everything. And she's like, well, there's no animals here. I will expand my kind of like radius. And she's expanded it a couple times in the way that she does her hunting. And that has led her kind of like, maybe she's like getting over here on the edge of the bog. I don't know if you can see that very well, but so she's kind of like getting closer to getting out of the bog, essentially. And that is when she finds this camp of these other hunters, and she's realizes this is what's going on. She sees like all the skins of the animals and like piles of like bones and carcasses that of the game that they've taken out of the bog here. And awesome. And maybe she sees there's got to be some type of like identifying as a member of this. Like there's probably like a specific symbol that ties any followers of Faerun to that deity, and she sees that the tents, I don't think they have like war banners or anything, that would be silly, it's just a hunting camp, but like the tents have the symbol of the god Faerun on them. She sees the carcasses. Does she see any actual hunters at the camp right now? We'll make it 50-50 because we don't know what's going on really right here. Are there any hunters like currently at the camp right now? A 70 is a yes, there are. Is there more than one? I'll say unlikely, because I think if it's just one, maybe Jendell. Because what I'm seeing is Jendell's, we're going to try to capture this dude and bring him back to the settlement, and we can question him, and that way we can get information, possibly on Nisus, we can get information on the Prime Chosen, maybe where their headquarters is at. A lot of good stuff can come from this, so this really needs to happen, and I'm going to make it happen, but how it happens is going to be up to chance. So, is there more than one hunter here? Unlikely. Is there more than one hunter here? 55 is a no. Okay, that is another double, but I think I'm only going to do random events on challenge rolls, or post rolls? Challenge rolls? When I'm rolling my action die with it. I'll only count doubles for that, for the random events, because I don't want a random event inside a random event. That would just be too much. Not that I think it's even possible to do too many random events. It really makes the gameplay fun, so maybe at some point I'll do that. Regardless, I'm not doing it right now. But there is only one hunter here, and that is where I'm going to stop it. We're going to figure out how to deal with this hunter. Jendell does have Katsuro, and she does have Nakrid with her, so essentially we do outnumber him 3-1, so we will have the upper hand, and we're going to capture this hunter for many reasons. One, why is he like hunting all this game? What is he doing with the meat? We need information. Blah blah blah. Anyway, yeah, cool. That's a good place to stop. That was really fun. I'm gonna make some notes with that after I stop this and everything. So yes, thank you guys for listening and sticking with me. And as always, please Have a great day, and I will catch you next time I'm at the table. Later, y'all.